Greetings adventurers, this is Lauren, your guild advisor, and this is not the usual like DanMemo news video because this is more of a speculation video about the upcoming 4th anniversary event. As you can see right here, I have the 4th anniversary logo up on the screen. Now, I'll be honest, when I first saw this logo, I was a tiny bit disappointed because just like off the logo alone, you can't really get too much out of it. Like last year we had the logo reveal, it was Ryu. I went nuts because Ryu's my favorite character, and it being the prelude, that logo being the prelude to the reveal of the 3rd anniversary event being a Stray record, it is something that just made my day and like my entire year, because a Stray record is really like the story I've always wanted to see, because it involved Ryu and Estrella Familia. We don't get too much about them in the main series like novels, and then a Stray record delivered Estrella Familia and other stuff to us in spades. So, and you can garner a lot from just Ryu's long hair, because Ryu normally has short hair. So if you see a long hair Ryu, like you start to think like, what's going on here? It turns out that was Ryu at a younger age. And in this case with Hestia, you really can't get too much out of a logo just featuring Hestia. And again, I'm not like the biggest fan of Hestia. She's gotten a lot better in the novels as they go on. She's definitely not as annoying as they make her in the anime. But I'm just neutral on Hestia as a character. So just going off that logo, it didn't do too much for me. But as a bit more information came in, we got more and more things to speculate about. And before we dive too deep into speculation, they did announce the DanMemo Fest for 2021, which is usually their big anniversary event where they do some fun activities usually, and then have that big trailer and info dump for the anniversary event. Of course, this one being for the 4th anniversary. That is going to be happening on a live stream on YouTube on June 15th. For me, it will be at 6 a.m., very early in the morning. And for people that don't know, I'm Central Time, so if you're Pacific, that's 4 a.m. So yeah, early mornings, guys, but that's just the life you live if you're following a Japanese game. But yeah, mark your calendar for June 15th if you do want to watch this. I'll leave a link to the stream in the video description if you want to set a reminder for that. And that's a weekday, so I'll be working at that as well, so that'll be fun. Oh no, oh no, everyone knows I'm a fan of Ina. Let's go back to my photos. And this is another picture they gave as a hint, and again, this doesn't do too much for me. Like, I see the sky, I see a flame. You can see the flame is a symbol for Hestia, which makes a lot of sense, because she's the goddess of the hearth. And again, like, all this really kind of tells me like this kind of symbolizes Hestia, maybe like coming down from heaven, perhaps, who knows. And then they gave us this English slide, and if you've seen the thumbnail for this video, the mystery character has already been data mined. It's like 99% chance that it is this character. So if you don't want to be spoiled on the data mine, but the final event for this like pre-event for the 4th anniversary unlocks in about 2 days, and that's probably when the mystery character will be revealed anyway. So feel free to keep watching this video, but if for some reason you don't want to know beforehand, I guess thanks for being here. But anyway, the misleading thing about this English slide is that it says you might have already seen this mystery character in the original novel. Now, I'm not sure what the original Japanese text was, and it might not be a perfect translation even if you did it literally. And the reason why I say the words the original novel is very misleading is because the Datamined character seems to be Aphrodite, who is the Greek goddess of beauty, love, like sexual pleasure, all of that. And as you can see, she pretty much, that design of her pretty much does speak to like love and pleasure, like very revealing for the navel area. So what am I saying? Anyway, you can see she also has like the seashell like earrings, and like a shell is one of the symbols of Aphrodite. So that makes a lot of sense if you're if you're unsure of whether or not this is supposed to be Aphrodite, like the current in-game event mentions her being a goddess of beauty multiple times, which lines up. And then if you go into the actual Datamined files, as you can see here, they're named APH underscore yada yada yada, like all the other like characters in the game if you go into the actual files. So APH definitely short for Aphrodite. So yeah, pretty much the character that we're looking at here is going to be Aphrodite for the 4th anniversary, at least for the first character that we know of that will be involved in this event. And as for how Aphrodite ties into danmachi and why this slide is misleading, is because when you see the words original novel, my mind like goes to, okay, someone that's been like mentioned offhand in like the main series of light novels. And that very much is not the case in regards to the main series. Aphrodite is not mentioned in the main series novels. She's mentioned in the Hyena again. Let me bring up the actual thing I need. Aphrodite is actually first mentioned in the One Love short story, which was handed out to Japanese theater attendees for the Era of the Orion movie. And that's just a very specific thing to try and reference when like this is only something like the hardcore Japanese audience would even know of officially, because the only way to access this One Love story officially is to have a copy of that short story handed out in Japanese theaters. And that's like the kind of the disconnect for DanMemo in regards to the larger global audience for the game, because I mentioned this during the Strike the Blood collaboration event. Like, it was officially a Strike the Blood Season 4 collaboration, and Strike the Blood Season 4 is not licensed in English anywhere outside of Japan, not that I know of. So it was very awkward if you're thinking from a global audience perspective, but that's not how they do things with the game in general. And that's okay. I don't want them to like hold back on aspects of the game if things are going to hold them back. Like, go do what you want to do, but it's just awkward. But anyway, this is a summary of the One Love short story that's on the danmachi fandom page. I'll leave a link to that in the description. As I always say, be careful about browsing around this website because there are spoilers for light novels that have not been officially translated yet, like Volume 16, which comes out in July, and Volume 17. You can see right here in the video feed, like, danmachi light novel Volume 17 synopsis. Like, I'm avoiding that at all cost. And for a quick synopsis of the One Love short story, basically the first part of it is like Hestia and Artemis in heaven before they came down into Arario. They're hanging out. Aphrodite like comes into the scene and kind of makes fun of Artemis because Artemis like is holding on to her chastity, like almost using it as an excuse not to fall in love. They get into arguments all the time between Aphrodite, Artemis, and Hestia, and Athena is also mentioned in this, how Athena, who is part of the 3 virgin goddesses along with Artemis and Hestia, and they like kind of team up against Aphrodite. And whenever Aphrodite like loses these arguments, she goes and like cries to Hera, very important danmachi goddess, because Zeus and Hera Familia were the strongest before being whittled down by the 3 great quests, most notably being the Black Dragon, then being those Familias being weakened, and then being pushed out of Arario by Loki and Freya Familia. So interesting that Hera is involved in this little short story as well. And again, I've mentioned that the 3 virgin goddesses were also mentioned in Volume 2 of the main series, when Hestia is bathing at the bathhouse before her date with Bel, and Demeter and other goddesses are poking fun at Hestia, and then that's when the 3 virgin goddesses are mentioned, and the names Artemis and Athena come up. And that's why I thought that maybe the mystery character might be Athena, but that was obviously short-lived, those hopes, when we straight up got a data mine for Aphrodite. But that does not necessarily mean that Athena can't be involved in the 4th anniversary event, especially if they're going to like mention at least this part of the One Love story. they could absolutely like adapt this part of that story into the game. Like, there has to be a reason why Hestia is the icon for the 4th anniversary event. Like, I think there's going to be some kind of emphasis on Hestia, possibly being her friendships with other goddesses, like Aphrodite, like possibly Artemis and Athena. So, very excited to see if Athena or Artemis are involved in this event. As I said before, Artemis is canon to danmachi, just not the events of Era of the Orion itself. But Artemis very much exists in the danmachi universe because she's mentioned in Volume 2, and then mentioned quite a bit in Astrea Record as well. And Astrea Record is pretty much canon because it's an expansion of material that already exists in main danmachi lore through the light novels and such. We also have the part that's kind of like a prologue to the Era of the Orion movie. Again, it's kind of iffy if that's going to be ever referenced because Era of the Orion is not canon, but as far as these events go in One Love, Artemis Familia was busy doing a job taking out some wyverns that were wreaking havoc. They go visit the village. There is a man who confesses to Artemis, and then Artemis immediately rejects him, and Aphrodite happens to be in the area and then like talks to Artemis about this and how Artemis was going to reject this man like even before he confessed, because she's just so beholden to that aspect of her that like, I need to uphold my chastity, that's my duty as a one of the 3 virgin goddesses. But Aphrodite has mentioned that if Hestia were to fall in love, she would be open to it, unlike Artemis, who just rejects it outright. And then the end of the One Love story takes place like during the ending of Era of the Orion, when Artemis goes back into heaven. Basically, she admits that she did fall in love with Bel, and then she like silently thanks Aphrodite for teaching her about love. And then there's a moment where Aphrodite like notices that light that you usually see when a goddess or god goes back into heaven. Like, Aphrodite sees that, knows it's Artemis, and then starts crying a bit. And all of that stuff that happens like around the movie itself, who knows if that's going to be mentioned at all in the game, if we're going to go down this route where Artemis is mentioned in the 4th anniversary event, because it's kind of hard to think about Aphrodite showing up in the event and interacting with Hestia and then Artemis not being mentioned at all. That'd be very strange. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Athena and Artemis like involved or mentioned at some point during this. With the 2 current story quests that are out right now, which features these dialogues between Hermes and Aphrodite, we see that Aphrodite like is very interested in the city of Arario. She's interested in these stories about Bel. She's talking with Hermes. We know she has a familia, and it's weaker than Freya's, because she mentions that she's afraid to go into Arario and like act like she owns the place because she knows she would lose against Freya. So I'm just very interested in what this 4th anniversary event is going to entail if it involves Aphrodite. Because we know like it's not like she's gonna go and try and get Bel, because we apparently know her familia is not that powerful. And the 3 previous anniversary events that we've had are all like this kind of epic scale conflict. Like, the first anniversary was a story idea Omori Sensei originally had for a danmachi light novel. It was against the pseudo behemoth, and the behemoth is one of the 3 great quests that was defeated by Hera and Zeus Familia. Most notably, Zard helped defeat the behemoth. And then the second anniversary event is, of course, Argonaut, where we got the story of Argonaut, his struggle against the Minotaur. And then the third anniversary event, my favorite, is Astrea Record, involving Astrea Familia, Otaro becoming level 7 after defeating Zard from the remnants of Zeus Familia, and then, of course, Astrea Familia helping defeat Althea, who is revealed to be the aunt of Bel? How does Omori Sensei top that with this 4th anniversary event? Like, I'm very curious on where this 4th anniversary event story is going to be, if it does involve Aphrodite. Like, there is a story about the prelude to the Trojan War in Greek mythology, where it's called the Judgment of Paris, where the goddesses Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite were in this kind of a contest to get the golden apple, and Paris was a man chosen to choose like who was the fairest goddess, and in that story Aphrodite was the chosen winner, and she promised Helen, who was the wife of the king of Sparta, to Paris, and that just jump-started this Trojan War. And during the Trojan War, Athena helped the Greeks in battle, so like I wonder if like Omori Sensei might use the Trojan War as like the basis for what this 4th anniversary event could be about. Maybe that's completely not what he's thinking about doing. Like, we'll just have to see what happens. I haven't been disappointed by any of these anniversary events before. Like, each one that we keep getting, I like more and more. So it'd be weird for me to doubt Omori Sensei now, but I'm just so curious and on where this story could lead. Like I said, just because Aphrodite is indeed the mystery character, it doesn't mean Athena can't show up. It doesn't mean Artemis may not show up. It'd be really cool to like officially see her in content outside of Era the Orion stuff, because she is supposed to be canon. She's been mentioned several times throughout the canon material, even though that movie itself isn't canon. And then one other piece of Greek mythology that's interesting to think about is that Aphrodite's spouse is supposed to be Hephaestus, and of course that's probably not going to happen in this. Hestia is like best friends with Hephaestus in danmachi, and I doubt, like, we don't really see too many mentions of like gods and goddesses being siblings or spouses with each other in the danmachi canon, even though they're inspired by, a lot of them are inspired by actual mythology. I doubt that connection exists between the Aphrodite and Hephaestus in danmachi. It'd be hilarious if there was some kind of reference to that. I hope Hephaestus gets to interact with Aphrodite in danmachi, because it would just make sense for those two characters to interact given their history and actual mythology. But of course I doubt that they're gonna like mention like, hey, you're supposed to be married to me. Other interesting thing about Aphrodite is that she gets around, and she cheated on Hephaestus with like other gods, one of them being Ares, and the Ares in danmachi is kind of a wacko. So who knows what her relationship with the Ares in danmachi is. But God, I'm so interested in what this 4th anniversary event is going to entail. I'm curious on what your guys' hopes are going to be for the 4th anniversary event. Now that we know Aphrodite is the mystery character, like, what else do you expect to see? If you're well versed in Greek mythology, I'm curious on what your theories could be and where this story could go. Like, it very much looks like this story is going to be in like the present day danmachi, probably post season 3 if we're going by how the stuff usually goes. So post season 3, so a much stronger Belle than we're used to seeing. Almost level 4-ish Belle. Season 4 can't come soon enough. But we'll just have to see what happens with this 4th anniversary event. Again, curious on what your guys' thoughts are for the 4th anniversary event. Leave your comments down below on what your hopes are. Anyway, that's it for this speculation video. We get the final prelude, like, story quest in 2 days, so we'll see what happens there. But anyway, guys, look forward to DanMemo Fest 2021 on June 15th. That'll be an exciting time as we get like the big reveal for the story and get that awesome trailer that we normally get. So that'll be exciting. But anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching this video. If you want to see more danmachi content and light novel content in general, go ahead and sub to the channel, like this video, follow me on Twitter, and join my Discord. And as always, continue enjoying your time adventuring in Mario and the dungeon. This is Lorne, your guild advisor, signing out. 鈍色の光照らす世界で今選ぼうその正義を